Welcome. This presentation will discuss content area writing. Writing facilitates learning by helping students explore, clarify, and think deeply about the ideas and concepts they encounter in reading. The objectives of this presentation is to examine the writing process and various writing activities. Teachers in every discipline share in the responsibility of showing students how to think and write as scientists, historians, mathematicians, and literary critics do. There are generally 5 stages of writing. While different textbooks will call each stage by a slightly different name, the stages are generally pre-writing, sometimes called brainstorming, drafting, revising, proofreading, sometimes called editing, and publishing. In pre-writing, the student plans what he or she will write by brainstorming, researching, taking notes, listing, clustering, and organizing ideas. In drafting, the student constructs a preliminary document by selecting a format, writing drafts, and deciding on an audience. In revising, the student reviews and reflects on earlier drafts by rethinking, adding, dropping, rearranging, and rewriting the document. This stage is all about content. Proofreading or editing is where the student polishes and corrects any spelling, punctuation, and grammatical problems in the document. Revising and proofreading sometimes intertwine in the writing process. Finally, publishing is when the student shares the final product with the target audience. The writing process is a hierarchy, organized, goal-directed, and problem-solving process, but once one stage is completed, it does not mean the writer does not go back to a previous stage. In revising, the student may realize there is a huge gap in the paper and therefore goes to the pre-writing stage to fill that gap. There are 3 main types of writing: restricted, summary, and analytical. Restricted writing usually engages students' mind in a basic search and transcribe process. It is exemplified by answering set of questions focused on comprehension of a text. Summary writing requires students to compress and integrate information to capture the idea of a text and the text structure. Both restricted and summary writing can prepare students for more complex tasks. Analytical writing engages students in reformulating and extending the text. The uses of writing have been limited in content area lessons. Writing in these lessons has often been restricted to non-composing activities such as filling in the blanks on worksheets and practice exercises, or taking notes. The role of writing in content areas should be broadened because of its potentially powerful effect on thinking and learning. Following are some writing activities that can be used in the various content areas. Unsent Letters establishes a role-play situation in which students are asked to write a letter in response to the material they are studying. The activity requires the use of imagination and often demands that students engage in interpretive and evaluative thinking. Unsent Letters direct students' thinking with particular audiences in mind. Many times the character in a story or the person being studied or in charge of the situation. An example would be an unsent letter to George Washington on the topic of Valley Forge. These letters always remain unsent. Biopoems allow students to reflect on large amounts of materials within a poetic form. It follows a pattern that enables writers to synthesize information learned about a person, place, thing, concept, or event under study. Here is a suggested pattern for a biopoem. Dialogue journals encourage students to construct meanings for specific passages and write about those understandings. In a dialogue activity, students write scripts or an exchange between 2 or more persons, historical figures, or characters being studied. Dialogue writing provides opportunities for reaction to ideas and extension of thinking about material being studied. This strategy is very effective for writing and practicing conversations in foreign language classes. Admit and exit slips are brief comments written by students on index cards or half pieces of paper. Admit slips are done at the beginning of class. Exit slips are completed at the end of class. Use this strategy to gather moments of understanding, questions over content studied, or solutions to problems. Response journals create permanent records of what readers are feeling and thinking as they interact with text. It may be prompted or free response. An example in earth science would be, place yourself in the role of a water molecule and describe what it's like to travel through the water cycle. A double entry journal is a versatile adaptation of the response journal. It allows students to record 2 entries that are connected. The journal page is divided in half down the middle. In the left column, students choose words, phrases, quotes, or passages from the reading that interest them or evoke strong emotions. In the right column, students write their reactions, interpretations, and responses to the text segments they selected. Many times, some students hand in papers that do not include any meat. The paper is just the bare bones. To help students add details, teachers give students a skeleton of a paper like the example. I walked to class late. The teacher looked at me. I sat down and opened my book. I heard footsteps approach. The teacher cleared her throat. I looked the teacher in the eye. Students then add 1 to 3 sentences between the given skeletal sentences to bring the skeleton to life with muscle, blood, fur, claws, guts, and a beating heart. Rafting consists of 4 components that guide and stimulate student exploration of content knowledge: role, audience, format, and topic. Student decides who they want to be, who they write to, what type of writing to use, and what idea or question to pursue. The last writing activity explained in this mini presentation is DEAD, drop everything and draft. This form of writing is also known as quick writes or free writes. During DEAD, students explain what they have been learning in class, how it relates to covered content, what they are having trouble understanding, and what they would like to hear more about. Specific writing prompts can be given for this writing activity. It also can bring students back to life.